Hey everyone, welcome to Hanging with Uncle. I'm Gene, and let's get started because I have something that interests me very much because of my legal brain. These are things I find very interesting. So, for those of you just joining the show, remember I'm not an attorney, but I did graduate from law school. I have my Juris Doctorate degree, and I have a pretty good understanding of how the law works. Just don't ask me for legal advice. I cannot give any to you. All right. Also, I'm a retired police officer, so I have working knowledge of how laws work, the authority and weight of a judge's order, and what happens to you if you don't abide by that. So let's get into Judge Boasberg, who is the top judge on Washington, D.C. on the Court of Appeals. I think it's the Court of Appeals. But he has reopened or continued his contempt proceedings over the illegal deportation of people sent and deported to other countries without due process. Due process under the 4th and 14th Amendment means you have the right to go before a judge, have your case heard. And the Constitution says people, not citizens. So it doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not. That's maybe what you want it to say, but it doesn't say it. So get over yourself and obey the law, okay? Because Boasberg is probably going to be subpoenaing, or he did say he wants to talk to Erez Raveni, who was the whistleblower in the Department of Justice regarding deportations of people without due process. For example, Kilmer Abrego Garcia and everybody that was on the plane that took him to El Salvador, Judge Boasberg ordered those planes not to take off, and if they were already in the air, to have them turned around. That is his order, and if you violate that order, it comes at a cost. Because remember, there are co-equal branches of government. It's not like I follow the president and ignore what the judiciary says. You do so at your peril. So Kristi Noem, who's the head of the Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, is in a lot of hot water because the whistleblower, Raveni, has already submitted a 38-page affidavit testifying to what really happened and how they totally ignored, without regard or due process of the law, ignored his order. And Boasberg wants to hear from him. So that means, well, who told you this? Which was, again, remember we heard Emile Bove, who's now a federal judge. You know, that's right, you get to disobey court orders and become a federal judge. That doesn't sound right. But he's the one who, under his jurisdiction and authority as an attorney for the Department of Justice, basically told Judge Boasberg to go fuck off and get those planes out of here because he's a racist son of a bitch and just wants white supremacy and white people only in the United States. That's just my opinion, but I don't think I'm wrong. And so Kristi Noem will be called to testify in front of Judge Boasberg, and she will either have to, answer his questions or plead the fifth, which means you have something to hide, although in a criminal case, it cannot be used against you legally. But people aren't stupid, and they know what your intentions are by pleading the fifth, okay? And it'd be too easy to prove what your intentions are by gathering evidence. And if Kristi Noem decides to use the defense of, well, I was relying on the advice of attorney, that opens up a can of worms that she may not want to deal with because it comes at a heavy price. Because if your attorneys in the Department of Justice, and that's what you're relying on, and that's what you're telling Judge Boasberg, I ignored your order because I was relying on the advice of counsel, that means you automatically waive your attorney-client privilege because you are asserting an affirmative defense. And she's in a lot of trouble. So is Todd Blanche and Emile Bove and everybody else that just blatantly ignored and disobeyed the orders of a federal judge. All right. What's going to happen? There are a host of things. I believe, number one, that the statute of limitations will not be over by the time the Tangerine Terror leaves office, and they will be held in criminal accountability by being charged with crimes. That's just, again, my opinion, unless, the apricot asshole gives them a pardon. But still, that's what we're dealing with right now. That's the conundrum going on. That is why I believe we're going to see a lot of firings. Number one, in the DOJ getting rid of Kash Patel. That's a whole nother story, but I believe we're going to see Pete Hegseth also be removed because of the murder that he ordered in Venezuela, killing defenseless people. And Kristi Noem will get the axe as well because she is going to have to throw the administration under the bus to save herself from contempt of court and violating a judge's order. It's going to get very interesting. Again, those are just my thoughts. I have the links to all this in the description box below. Please leave your comments in the comment section. And remember, be kind to one another. Treat each other the way you want to be treated. I know if I was hanging off the side of a boat, I wouldn't want to be murdered. And if you were hanging off the side of a boat, I wouldn't want Pete Hegseth to order your murder either. So that's all I have. I'm Gene. Thank you for hanging with Uncle. And you guys take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.